everyone, and welcome to the Harvard Business School online virtual event. My name is Gwen Mdinaradze. I'm the President and CEO of Speakers Alliance Canada and the Harvard Business School online global chapter facilitator. Today, we have a guest speaker, Dr. Nupur Kohli, and we are going to speak about imposter syndrome. We appreciate you joining us today and taking your time to spend the most entertaining and interactive 1 hour with us. Today, I will start the event with Dr. Kohli's introduction, and after her presentation, we will have a question and answer session. The recorded version of today's event will be available on community website at community.myhbx.org. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me at gwen@speakersalliance.ca and type any question in the chat and share with us where are you from and if it's your first time joining our bi-weekly virtual events. Dr. Nupur Kohli is a healthcare leader, medical doctor, author, innovative speaker, supervisory board member of UNICEF, the Netherlands, and member of the International Advisory of the Amsterdam Economic Board, a former strategy healthcare management advisor at Ernst Young. She is currently advisor in the healthcare insurance sector. She is currently curator, leader of Global Shapers, World Economic Forum in Amsterdam, and a former member of 2 advisory bodies to the Dutch government on healthcare policy. A regular speaker on AI and health at international forums and with 4 TEDx talks, she earned a reputation of a prominent women speaker to inspire, educate, motivate, and provide solutions to problems. She is featured in more than 80 international media outlets in Europe, the US, and India, like BBC, European national TV, and newspapers. Dr. Kohli is the author of the book Chill on Stress and Productivity. Nupur, welcome to the Global Chapter virtual event, and thank you so much for taking time to speak with the community members today.
Thank you so much, Gwen, for inviting me here today. And I'm also calling in from Amsterdam as we speak. It's here 5 p.m. in the afternoon. It's luckily sunny here outside, so it's not raining. And let me start sharing my screen. And I hope we can keep it as interactive as possible today. So is everyone able to see my screen here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
perfect.
we are.
So today we will be exploring imposter syndrome, but before we will start doing that, we need to talk about a very important topic related to the imposter syndrome, which is success. So we will first start with a question. What does a successful person look like to you? And I would like you to type in the chat what a successful person would look like to you. And I'm trying to see if I can see the chat as well. And otherwise, Gwen can help me maybe a little bit.
I can read the answers.
With telling me a little bit what a successful person is looking like to everyone who is here today.
Let's see here. Financial stability, good work-life balance, good relationship, and healthy lifestyle. As well, balanced person having reasonable purpose of life, calm and confident, person with decision-making powers in a large organization. Successful person, many relationships to achieve your most ambitious professional goals. Wealth, confidence, influence, stable, fulfilled, and impactful life.
Those are amazing answers. And I really like that you look at successful people the way that you do. So that will also really help us in the further presentation today and to explore imposter syndrome or signs of it whether you're experiencing it yourself or maybe know people around you who are experiencing certain things that are related to it. So the next question or statement is, name a few people that society finds successful. Can you again put in the chat, put names of which you sometimes see in the media or other names of which society says, wow,
Elon
we think.
Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Kamala Harris, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Steve Jobs,
Amazing.
Jeff Bezos, Donald Trump, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates.
All right, those are great answers. And I want you to remember these names and keep them in mind for yourself. What kind of names did you hear? How old are these people? Where are they coming from? Are these men? Are these women? And what kind of stories are there in general written about them? In what sectors do they work? You don't have to type that in the chat, but the names that you just heard, keep that in mind. So we will move on to the next slide. So what is success? In really short, the dictionaries tells us that success is the accomplishment of an aim or purpose. So that is very broad, because what is an accomplishment? And what aims are we talking about? And what is purpose? Because everyone has a different aim, everyone has a different purpose, but is that a purpose in your work? Is that a purpose in life? Are these accomplishments that you're able to lift 100 kilograms? Or is this an accomplishment that you're even able to make it to the end of the day? So what is success and what is written in the dictionary? It is quite confusing when I looked at it. And then I thought, let me just start looking for what other people say about what success is. So let us look at this picture first. It was posted last week on Instagram on something that was called hustling as an entrepreneur. So it's at the cost of success, late nights, early mornings, very few friends, being misunderstood, feeling overwhelmed, questioning your sanity, being your own cheerleader, but don't give up, it's worth it. And it's an interesting thing when you look at this picture is it says the cost of success. So it costs you something. And then it's worth it. And look at the picture of the person in this small visual that came on Instagram. It's I think it's a man. He's raising his hands in the air. He's jumping, but he's wearing a tie and a suit. So when you look at this, what do you associate with success? This is the first example. So let us look at another picture that also appeared on Instagram a while ago. What is success? That's what it's called. What is success? To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition, to know even one life has breathed, easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. Ralph Waldo Emerson. So those of you who know this author, he is an amazing author. But why am I showing you this? Because some people see that first picture on Instagram, and some other people may see this picture that I'm showing you now. And it really depends on what picture you see. At least that's what I think. Then I looked a bit further. So it says success, the first picture, and there is an arrow that is going up. So what people think it looks like, it's a straight arrow that is going up. And then it says success, what it really looks like. The arrow is still going up, but is very messy. But what is the same in both the pictures is that the arrow is going up. Is success always upwards, or is it also okay to take different directions? What made me think is, why did the author draw success like this? And you can think about that. Why would someone draw success like this? And then I found another picture. So it showed a road, and this road goes forward, and the arrow goes forward. The arrow is not going really up, it's going forward, and it says success. So maybe you can also think about it in your mind. You named like what society sees as successful people, what you think is a successful person. How would you draw success? If you had to post a drawn picture on social media, how would you draw success? And that's also very interesting to think about. You don't necessarily have to put it in the chat, but maybe you can do that as an exercise later on what you would put in that visual. And don't like cut pictures or whatever, just take a pen and paper and start doodling what it would look like to you. So this is what I wanted to start with, to just set the mood for today. So you have what we call success. And then what happens then? Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you stressed because success is there? What do you do with this thing that is not tangible? And we call it success. Another interesting thing to think about for you all here. But if you have that, there are also some people who can think, what am I doing? I think that I have success, but what am I really doing? What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. And when there is success, there can also come certain insecurities. Insecurities such as the question that I put up in the earlier slide. What am I doing? How are people looking at me? Can I handle this success? Should I share my success? Is that okay? Will people think I am arrogant? Do I need to reach even more success now? And I can tell you, there's a big company here in the Netherlands called Philips. Philips is producing all kinds of electronic products. They're now more in the medical devices and in the healthcare space. And I spoke yesterday to the chairman of the Philips Foundation, which is actually working to improve health in marginalized communities. And he says a lot of leaders have these insecurities. A lot of successful people have these insecurities, but they don't show it, but it is there. So is this okay if you have these insecurities? Well, after talking to quite some leaders all over the world, I would say, yes, it is okay. But there's a very big but. If it's too much, what happens then? Let us now dive a bit deeper into what we call imposter syndrome. And I have literally put here for you what as a definition is being put. So imposter syndrome refers to an internal experience of believing that you are not as competent as others perceive it to be. It is not something that is put in medical books or anywhere else where you can say it's really scientifically deeply researched. Definitely there has been done research on this. But there are many people who struggle with factors related to what is written here, and then mainly about the experience of believing that you are not as competent as others perceive you to be. So let's look a little bit more into that. People who experience factors of imposter syndrome can have a feeling that they don't deserve a certain success. So I believe all of us here, all of you here have followed a program at HBS Online. And maybe there were some people in this whole group of who are following these courses, they get their certificate. And maybe in the end, they thought, did I really deserve it to have the certificate in my hand? Maybe they were very busy throughout the week. They only spent a few hours a day, maybe not as much as they wanted to. They still received a certificate. And maybe they thought, did I really deserve this success? As an example to you on what people can feel. Another thing that is coming up with imposter syndrome is that we think other people we look up to are perfect. So one of the successful people that was being named by society, and you put that in the chat, is Jeff Bezos. For some aspects, when people look at Jeff Bezos, they think, oh, well, that's perfect. He earned so much money. Or any other aspect. People who might dive deeper into his life or read about his story will definitely see that he is not perfect. But to some people, he maybe is, and that is maybe their golden standard of what they refer to. But let us not only talk about business people. Let us also talk a little bit about beauty. Because even within beauty, and our outer experience, we can also experience the imposter syndrome. So in the first picture, we see this beautiful girl, beautiful eyes. She looks really nice. And then she put this picture called reality. When I looked at both pictures, I thought, well, in the second picture, she's actually also still beautiful. And maybe I can look at your nodding faces. Do you think she still looks beautiful in the second picture? Or you can also say no if you think she doesn't look beautiful. And it made me think, what does this girl who's posting on Instagram think is perfect? Apparently, she thinks that the first picture is perfect. And if she would have posted her reality, that was not so perfect. Well, why did she do that? These kind of things are interesting for ourselves to discover on also what are our golden standards of how we look at people and what is normal and what is not normal. Let me go to the next slide. The Forbes Next 1000. The Forbes Next 1000 is a list with 1,000 entrepreneurs that Forbes has published for the first time this year in 2021. And there are some people who might look at this list and think, hey, these people are perfect. Is that the standard, that when you have reached a list such as this, then I belong in society, then I should be here? And when we move a little bit back to imposter syndrome, this internal experience of believing that you are not as competent as others perceive you to be, and you see this list of Forbes Next 1000 and you think about competencies, and it's publicized everywhere, there may be some people who think, hey, but I'm only competent if I reach the list. But there are also a few other factors that are being named in several different articles. Some say that age also matters. So young people might feel that they need to reach a certain age before they think they are competent enough. Some articles even say being a woman, that there are some women who think, if I was a man, or if I would have certain factors of successful men, then I can also be seen as successful. But also people of color. Some people of color can start believing that if they behave more, such as, let me say, a Jeff Bezos, who is a white male, then I will be seen as successful. So it is also at how are we looking at society? And what I found very interesting was when I asked for successful people in society, think about it again. What was the first person you thought of? And you put that in the chat. And why did we not think, for example, about Malala? Is Malala successful? Or a Michelle Obama? She is also here. Or why didn't we say that society looks at Mandela as someone who was successful in his career? So think about that. And that also has to do with imposter syndrome and why some people are experiencing factors of it. And I also put confidence here, and confidence was already there. And then I got a really interesting LinkedIn message before I joined here, and I thought I definitely need to speak about confidence. Because where is confidence coming from? Because we see successful people. We have an idea about success. And in what way does it affect society? In what way does it affect people? And how we deal with the confidence that we have in ourselves, but also in the confidence that we have in other people. So why do I say the confidence that we have in other people? Look at our voting behavior, whether it is in our own elections in our different countries, or whether it is in our company when we have to choose a new leader for the team, or when we're doing job interviews for a manager. How do we look at other people's confidence, and how do we look at our own confidence? And then again, keep this imposter syndrome in mind. When are we confident about our abilities and about our capabilities? All kinds of things that we can discuss. So what I want to ask you now is, how do you keep confidence? And maybe you can put in the chat how you keep confidence, and we can also talk about it later in the question and answer session. And maybe Gwen, you can read a bit for me again when people feel confident.
Mandeep says, connect with your inner self. Persistent achievements, growth, be natural self. Remembering about my past success, always working on developing yourself and being aware of your thoughts and feelings. Ask for feedback and exercising.
Amazing. Yes, those are great things. And there may be coming more, but keep those in mind, because some of these will also come back later on while we go through the presentation. Thank you, everyone.
Express the things you are confident in yourself.
In control. Very nice.
Past accomplishments. When we feel that we are in control of something we should have control over. By continuous learning.
Continuous learning, past accomplishments. Keep all these in mind. These are wonderful. These are great. Keep the thought. So now we spoke a little bit about this, about confidence, but let us also talk about types of people, because the imposter syndrome is also connected to certain types of people who do certain things, who experience certain things. So it may not may not be so for everyone, but I do believe that you will recognize some of the things that I'm going to share in the next slides. The first type of person who can experience factors of imposter syndrome is the perfectionist. Perfectionists have a too high expectation of themselves. They're just called a perfectionist in this context. There are more factors related to the perfectionist. But within the imposter syndrome, people who have too high expectations of themselves will keep setting the bar higher and higher and higher until they tire themselves out. That's one of the things that can happen. The second one is the expert. Experts are afraid they need to know every single piece of information to start. So they might not accept a certain job offer, they might not go for a certain position because they feel they need to know every information there is. They need to be perfectly updated about all the information that is there before they even try to take the step for a certain position, for a certain role. And in that way, they can feel very, very insecure. Then we have the natural genius. The natural genius thinks that skills should just come easy. If I'm not able to do it in an easy way, when I'm struggling, when I find it hard, it means that I can actually not do it. So I'm not competent. So whenever they feel that it becomes a little bit more tough, or whenever they feel that that there are barriers, they get scared. They back out and think they're not competent enough because everything should come easy for them. Then we have the soloist. The soloist believes that success comes from doing it alone. When you need help, then you are an imposter. So when you are, for example, the president of your foundation, you always need to do it alone. Take all the decisions alone. You do not delegate, because if you delegate it to your vice president, everyone might think that you're not able to handle all the work that you have. Then we have the Superman or the Superwoman. The Superman and the Superwoman, they believe that only when you succeed in all aspects of life, then I can call myself successful. I need to be perfect in my job. I need to be perfect in my personal life. I need to have good relationships with my parents, with my siblings, with my friends. Well, there are lots of other things. And only then I'm successful. And when that is not there, I'm just incompetent. So these are 5 types. And now I'm curious, is there a type that you recognize either in yourself or in people around you maybe who show behavior that I just shared in the last 5 slides? Well, let me see if I can see the chat now. I'm not
So we have perfectionist. Yes, perfectionist. Monica says a combo. Perfectionist. Expert. Almost every character you were mentioning. Expert, one who needs to do everything in perfect way, and perfectionist.
Okay.
Would you consider them mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive?
That's a question, I think. Let me dive into that question later because it is a very interesting question. But what I find really good from all the people that are attending today is that you recognized, usually with not only imposter syndrome, but I've done research on stress as well, is a great part is recognizing. And when you either recognize it in yourself or in another person, then you can become more aware of it in either your work or in your life and take steps to either improve it or maybe make it even your strength at a certain point. Let me see if it lets me go to the next slide. So what to do? In the following slides, I will give a few examples of things that you can do, but it is not everything. These are just a few things that you can do when you're recognizing these. The first thing that I want to emphasize is what others think of you is none of your business. And maybe people who recognize factors of the imposter syndrome should tell that to themselves several times. What others think of you is none of your business. Because a lot of times things related to imposter syndrome or that we're not competent enough start hurting us when we start listening to criticism from others or what others comment on us, and indeed what others think of us. So tell that to yourself again, that what others think of you is none of your business. That's the first thing. And also that realizing that everyone has flaws. And I would also like to encourage you to start looking for those stories where people share their flaws. So we have evenings also here in Amsterdam, and I think in several different cities. I won't share the name because there's a swear word in it, but there people are sharing that whatever went wrong in their career or how they failed. So they're nights of failure. And those are perfect ways to see that everyone has flaws, but also share your flaws. Don't be afraid to share that something did not go so well. And if you find it very scary to do that with others, do it with yourself. Maybe in the evening, if you have a few moments, write down for yourself what your flaws are and look at them, and also be proud of your flaws. So what I did when I was a teenager, I wrote down my flaws. I also had to do an exercise like this. I looked at it and I cringed. I was ashamed even looking at what I wrote about what my flaws are. I was embarrassed about certain flaws that I had. And on one hand, it was a good thing that I saw, hey, I find it terrible to look at my own shortcomings. But on the other hand, it was a great exercise to also start feeling more comfortable with my shortcomings. And even I still have a lot to learn. It may be a lifelong learning. But keep practicing with what are your flaws, what are others' flaws, and that it's okay because everyone has them. Then also we need to remove the stereotype image of success. We need to start looking, and we have to do this as a society as a whole, to also bring forward people who are not the regular people who have success and share them with the people around us. So we can remove the stereotype image of what we saw in the first picture about success, this man in a suit and a tie and says that we all need to hustle. It's okay to hustle, but we should not make other people feel uncomfortable with that. And what I found really great is that when people put in the chat on how do we keep our confidence is also thinking about past accomplishments. Celebrate our successes and acknowledging them is a really, really big part of also tackling imposter syndrome factors and sharing your success. Sharing your success and not being ashamed of it. Because some people, when they want to share their success, they think twice. What will other people think of me when I share my success? So definitely do not feel that. This one's also very interesting. Receive compliments and say thank you. Why did I put this one here? What happens sometimes? Someone gives a person a compliment And then the person who is the receiver starts down talking themselves. Hey, you're wearing such a beautiful dress. Oh, well, they already have it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 5 weeks. Or another example is, it's amazing that you raised so much money for your new venture. Oh, no, it was just luck. Oh, no, it was just luck. Is something that I also often hear. But how often do people say, thank you, I actually really worked hard for this and I'm happy that I raised so much money or whatever it is. So it's also for a big part, how do you talk to yourself when someone gives you a compliment or when you reach a certain success? And sharing a success is not arrogancy. What we experience nowadays when we look at social media is we have a successful person and there are a lot of trolls below that who are commenting really, really bad things about that person. Don't look at that. Sharing a success is not arrogancy. Be proud of what you do. And this is also another way to tackle factors of imposter syndrome. Then also find your super fans. Whether you have done something small or something big, make sure that you have 1 or 2 people in your life that are your super fan. And the next question that I want to ask you is, who are your super fans? Think of 1 or 2 people and just put them in the chat, because then you have actually thought about it. Who are your super fans? Can you share that?
That's a great point. My daughter, my family, parents, my husband and my sons, parents, my colleagues and wife, my mom, dad, husband. So it's all about the family. 2 of my good friends at work, family, my daughter and my mom, my wife, parents, very close friends, daughter, wife.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm actually not surprised, because this is what a lot of people would share as their super fans. And why did I also ask this question? Because it had a reason. These are people who are close to you, who have known you probably for a long, long, long time. And when I said, what others think of you is none of your business, is those are all kinds of people who are outside your circle. Your super fans are in your close circle. They're close to you. Those are the people that matter. And those people who are none of your business are really outside that. And that is also something that we need to practice. We can practice in creating a thicker skin when it comes to how do external factors influence us. Who are my super fans? And who are these people who are none of my business? And can I keep focusing on my super fans, especially if things are getting hard? And then another question: how do you share your successes? And if you haven't done so, how will you do that in the coming weeks? How do you usually share your success, or how do you celebrate?
Let's see here. Celebrate smallest events with friends and family. With family, call parents, go out to dinner with my partner, celebrate with a team dinner or a cake. With team, I immediately hop on to the next important work, hardly ever celebrate any success. Go out dinner, special dinner. Give something to myself as an appreciation to self. Spending time with friends and loved ones. Call family and share good news. Just realize I don't do that enough or in a big enough way. I didn't celebrate success until I had a major health problem, and now I celebrate every small success. I talked about it with my family and on social media. Hi, Sebastian, it's nice to see you here. Mention it during roundtables at team meetings.
Thank you. And I will point out two of what I heard. There's um, one person who said, "Hey, I don't often do that." So this would be a moment to start doing that. And I will point out the last one as well, sharing it during team meetings. So we usually share our success with our closed circle, whether we do that often or sometimes. But is it okay to also share it during a team meeting, or to share it without your own, outside your own comfortable circle? I did not put that on the slide, but maybe I will also ask that again to put that in the chat. When was the last time you felt really good about sharing your success outside your own comfortable circle? How long time was that ago?
Let's wait for a few seconds.
Yeah, let me see what I have here. This was my last slide anyway, so I'll stop sharing so I can see everyone's faces.
Okay. 2 months ago, over a year ago, last month, many years ago. What about you, Nupur?
When was the last time that I shared? I actually shared my last success yesterday. And so yesterday I spoke to this chairman of the Phillips Foundation. I did that yesterday. And I just took the step and shared that I had this conversation with him and that I was proud of it. But I must say, I recognize a lot that I read here, because also I sometimes think twice. Will people find me arrogant? Do they think I'm knowledgeable enough? So to give an example, I had to speak here. I know a lot about imposter syndrome. And even really short before I came up, I thought, hey, will they find me knowledgeable enough? So it also happens to me. It actually also happens to me. It definitely also happens to me. So it's very human, but we can experience it in such a way that that it doesn't bother us. And I believe that's the most important message that I want to give everyone here. These feelings can be there, but they should not bother you, and you can also learn from it. But I'm also speaking, already speaking for about 45 minutes now. So I just want to open the floor for any questions that are here, and hope you enjoyed the talk also today.
The topic is super interesting, and actually I could not realize it's been 45 minutes, because each topic and each sentence you talked about were super helpful, and thank you so much for sharing your expertise and experience with us.
Yeah, thank you. And I would just love to have like an open discussion. I mean, I don't have to answer all the questions, but I think it's really good if we just start talking about it. So Gwen, how would you like to go about it?
Well, we can ask the participants, if you have a question, raise your hands, and you will be able to have a conversation with Dr. Kohli. I see all of you here. If you can simply raise your hands, I can pin your video. Or you can easily type in the chat.
I have a question.
Who is this?
Sorry, maybe it doesn't show it. Louis.
Oh, yes. Hi. Hi, Louis.
Hi.
Are you able
Uh,
to turn your video on?
I can. I'm kind of multitasking, so I went for a run, but here I am.
Okay. Hi. So nice
Hi.
to see you.
I just wanted to ask, first of all, thank you for the presentation. It was very helpful. But what I'm finding it hard with myself right now is I find that I'm my own self-sabotage person, you know? I'm the one preventing myself and pushing myself to the next level. Like, how would you go around that? I don't think like the idea of success scares me, but basically how to achieve success and how to just like stop those barriers that are constantly there. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So a question, I will ask you a question back. So when do you feel satisfied with the work that you have done at the end of the day?
When or like at what specific time?
Yeah, you can give me a time. When do
I'm
you feel
never
satisfied?
satisfied. That's the problem. Just like I'm honestly speaking here. It's just like I reach a point where like I'm in my bed, but like my mind is like still spinning at 100%, and I'm exhausted. Like I can't do anything about it. But just like I never reached that point where like, you know what? And I'm reading this book which tells you like as long as you're doing the best you can on a daily basis, that's all you need to be doing. But you have to admit it to yourself. But like I find myself that whenever I reach a goal or I'm getting to a goal, I start to purposely self-sabotaging myself.
And that is something that a lot of people experience. You're definitely not alone. But this point of satisfaction that I pointed out is a good thing to quantify for yourself.
Okay.
At what moment in the day could you tell yourself, I am satisfied now? And you could also quantify that not only with time, but with the things that you have done. And that is not easy, but it's a first step. And then a third thing that I would like to ask you is, so what is it then that you're thinking about whole night? Are these the same things? Because most of the thoughts that we have are a repetition of the thoughts that we had before. So is there something in those thoughts that makes that you were not satisfied with that day and that you could do as a first exercise for yourself to think about what that satisfaction in your life means for you?
Perfect. So what you're saying is basically quantify them, then qualify them, list them, and see like lesson learned, kind of a thing.
Yeah. So I would not say, don't even think about the lessons learned. Just put the time. When do I want to feel when do I want to feel satisfied? And what will I have done until then?
Perfect.
And see for yourself if you're okay with what you have written down. Because when you feel satisfied, you can also go to sleep with a much emptier head. That's also why we most of the time keep thinking.
Perfect. Thank you.
I hope that helps.
No, it does. It does. Thank you.
Thank you, Louis. And the next question is from Mandeep.
Thank you. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Dr. Kohli, I am from India and it is late night here. It was fantastic listening to you and wonderful ideas. My problem is a little bit different than Loy. Of late, I work for a multinational organization and for last around 10, 12 years, I have been getting a lot of promotions and increments and have been, rising up in the hierarchy. So my problem is I personally find myself that probably I have to work hard little bit more than what I have been given to. And at the same time, my problem is also that I'm never satisfied and always feel that I have to do something extra. So rather than enjoying and rather than being at this particular moment, I always go for the future, and sometimes also find myself restless because I always want to do something more. Can you please suggest or can you please guide?
Yes, I will point out two things here. So the first one is that when we reach higher positions, you can have a feeling that your to-do list never ends. That's one factor. Your to-do
True.
list never ends, and we always feel that we need to do just one other work. The second thing that I want to ask you is, do you feel responsible to do those works or to do that something extra? Why do I ask you that? Because often we feel a certain responsibility towards ourselves, that we only when we do this, only when we give a certain task a certain weight, uh, and then we feel good after we have done it. So also ask yourself, how responsible do you feel in the position that you have now? And is it okay to let some of that responsibility go? That's a very important question. Important question to think about. And the things that you want to do extra, the thing that I want to say about that is, if you can make that smaller. So how big is that thing that you want to do extra? And maybe the
In
last
fact,
question,
yeah, yeah,
and who
yeah.
are you making happy with it? Are you making yourself happy with it, or is it to make other people happy with it?
So my problem is I am never happy with myself because, and others always find that I am competent to do this job, even with the present situation. I myself feel with this imposter syndrome, I myself feel that I have to do a little bit extra. I have to make myself more happy. And I also have to go, do a little bit more to get prepared for the next role, which others do not find so. They find that you're perfect. But for me, I am never perfect. I see myself as requirement of doing something more. So the answer to this is I only want to make myself happy. Others are already happy.
I will give one more small reaction to that. So if you want to make yourself happy, look at the things that you're doing outside your work, and how that counters the extra tasks that you do. And it is that's not a very easy thing, but that's also something that you can practice, and it happens to a lot of people. Again, this is very recognizable, but I hope this answer helps.
Thank you.
I think it helps.
Yes, it helps. Many thanks. This is a perfect answer.
Thank you for your question, Mandeep. And we have several minutes for the last question. If you have a question and want to speak with the Dr. Kohli, please raise your hands. I'm searching right now whose hand is raised, so you can speak to Dr. Kohli.
Hello, Ms. Kohli. This is not a question. This is a sincere thank you, and thank you for the session. I am personally thanking you for that. I'm here for learning about imposter syndrome, and I hope I learn certain good points. I'm going to write those down. I'm just recording this session for myself, so I'll go through that again, and there are certainly very good learnings. Thank you. This is just a message of appreciation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kenneth.
I'm thinking if there are more things that I can still give to you, and maybe what I can also say is, no, we live in a society that can sometimes we are now keeping distance, right? So there was also one person who said, get in touch with your inner self.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe what Mandeep was saying is also, how do we start loving the things that we do? Do we always love the actions that we take? Do we always love how we treat other people? Do we always love the certain decisions that we make in our career and in our life. Because not only in imposter syndrome, and also when I speak at corporates about how employees are experiencing stress, it's also a lot about are people loving the steps that they take in their life, and is it okay if you do not love that,
Right.
sometimes. So I think that's also one thing that I would like to give the group here. And it's not only your own responsibility. I truly believe that, especially in big corporates, I've worked for a big four, there should come ways that we start thinking about this, if we want to make not only ourselves more successful, but also our colleagues, or if you're an entrepreneur, how you want to do that with your own employees.
Right. Thank you so much, Nupur. We have other questions, but unfortunately there is no time to speak to all the attendees. So thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and expertise with the Harvard Business School Online Global Community members. And thank you everyone for joining us today. The recorded version will be available on the community website at community.myhbx.org on the global chapter page. So I hope to see you in 2 weeks on Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And it was very nice to spend an hour with you. Thank you again, Nupur.
Thank you so much, Gwen. Thank you, everyone.
Many
Bye-bye.
thanks. Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you very much. Bye. See you.
Thank you. Bye.